Let's go ahead and do this thing today. Don't freak out. I am here early. Might as well just make sure my stuff is all working. That's just kind of why I'm here. Tapping in a little bit early. Because I think today's conversation is going to be pretty full. Excuse me. Let me make sure. Mic check, mic check, mic check. I hope you had a good holiday weekend. Celebrated Easter with your peoples. Had some good food. At least that's what happened on my end. And then we have what? This is me ranting. This is me just thinking. Now we have playoffs, NBA playoffs specifically. This is when the NBA gets a little bit better because everybody is playing for something. I don't know. Dude, 82 game seasons. Everybody taking 8 breaks. I don't know I don't know how much more I can tolerate of it. Let's just put it like that. Speaking of, I need to set it up because we have the Celtics playing. And I just read that Tatum is actually missing his first playoff game. I wonder how he's taking that. Is he happy or is he sad? I should actually reach out. I just thought about Easter, and I know that I spoke to a potential client of mine, and she mentioned how Easter is like a big holiday at their place. Have you guys ever or at least have you ever participated in an Easter egg hunt with eggs, obviously, with money inside of the eggs, right? When she told me this, I said, man, I need to go to your Easter egg hunt. You guys putting money inside these eggs for these kids? Good Lord. I used to just get candy, man. I think that's what gave me my sweet tooth, honestly. Just getting bombarded with candy consistently. Oh, come on. We'll get started here in a little bit. I'm just trying to get the game on so that I can watch it. Because it's playoffs. If you don't like basketball, we just can't relate. We just can't relate right now. I think I'm good to go now. Hopefully, we don't have no issues throughout. But if we do, I don't know if we'll find out. But let's go ahead and kick things off. I hope everybody's having a great day, a great week, had a great weekend, holiday weekend, all that good stuff. Hope everyone's staying safe. If you guys don't know, word on the block is prices are coming down in terms of real estate. So at least that's not everywhere, of course, but that's what's at least now being discussed a lot more. So we're going to dive in a little bit more into it because everybody is just seeming to cut their forecast. And when I say everybody is cutting their forecast, I'm talking about like any anybody who made projections, right? So anyone who's really economist, really, right, for a specific company or whether they're on their own, right? Everyone is at some point in time made some sort of forecast of what's really going to happen with the real estate market. And based off of what I've been seeing the past couple of weeks, or at least this past week, once Zillow made their cut, everybody else was like, "Oh, now I can do mine. Now I could do mine. Now I could do mine. Now I could do mine." It's almost like a chain effect. It's like they set it off, and everybody else just followed. And it makes sense why everybody else followed. They have all the information. They have all the data to be able to keep track of all these things. So it makes sense. But I think based off of what I read and based off of what you'll kind of see a lot today, a lot of people have been making cuts because it's a lot of unknowns. And so I think with all the unknowns, it's kind of hard to make a prediction as far as where real estate is going to go, which is why I always say, don't base it off the external outside stuff going on. Base it off of what your scenarios, what's going on in your world. Because there's always going to be something going on. There's always going to be something to distract you. Don't let it. As easy as it says, as easy as it sounds, and as easy as it is to just say it rather than just do it. I get it, but the outside noise is truly indeed meant to distract you from what your ultimate goal is. So, if you have that goal in front of you, which I would assume your goal, given that you're here right now, right? Your goal is to buy a home. Just keep that in the focus. Do what you have to do in there, and I'll guide you. I'll guide you as well to let you know what is it that you can even do right now, especially if the tide is about to turn. This is when you get yourself prepared. So we're gonna even talk about that as well. But I first want to start off with a prediction that I saw that Zillow made. And when I say Zillow, I'm speaking about one specific person, that whoever writes the stuff up or puts it all together, that they did in the beginning, well, towards the end of 2024, speaking of what they anticipate, right? I put quotations around that intentionally. What they anticipate what's going to happen in 2025. I always say this because these predictions is literally a prediction. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Even if they tell you, man, I predicted this amount of recessions or this, and the third. There's some people that are great, you know, but there's other people's where it's just like, hey, just take a seat, man. Just take a seat. So let me go ahead and zoom in so we can go through this, because there's some pointers here that I do want to discuss and just kind of let you know, okay, where were things and now where we are now. And as you guys know, of course, change in office, that does play a big factor, because it is going to be a policy changes all across the board that no one anticipated. And so that's, I would say, personally speaking, I think that's what's really causing a lot of the unknowns and the changes that is occurring or that has occurred, and allowed a lot of individuals to make their changes. So Zill one, and here it goes. So Zillow's chief economics, Skylar Olson. This is who pretty much wrote this back in 2024, or I shouldn't say she wrote it. I'm pretty sure it's her ideas. Suzanne Kellier is probably the one that is obviously the one that put it all together. But let's go ahead and look at what she mentioned. So this is that again. I'm going to re-emphasize that this is predictions made at the end of 2024, stating that home values will grow at modest rates. Have we really been seeing that? Well, really, I mean, if we were seeing it, I don't think anybody would be cutting their forecasts. So that is a telltale sign right there. So that's one of the things that were anticipated that I personally don't think is really happening. If anything, I personally speaking, I see prices, at least in this market here in North Carolina, being more of like flat, flat, or they're decreasing. And it's all going to be dependent on the property. But overall, most of it, from what I see, is flat. And of course, that's due to inventory. That's just due to the unknowns of everything that is going on. So that is something that we're all going to have to deal with. And so here are some of the areas that, again, back in 2024 was stated that, hey, will grow the most. And I think this is still true today. I'm not going to even look at what percentage that they expected it to increase, because I did not look at it myself, not my market. So I'm not going to really pay too much attention to that. But I do know I do know the Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, I would assume Rhode Island, just because it's in the mix of that, have literally seen increases. As far as percentage wise, you can fact check me on that, or fact check them, because this is not mine. And then we also have Miami, Florida, which I don't think this is true. I don't think Miami experienced any sort of increase, given all the condo sales, given the condo issues that they're having, the inventory issues. Like, they're getting a lot of inventory right now. I know Tampa and Orlando, I believe they're getting a lot of them, and that's due to the new construction that was really going on there. Charlotte, uh, I don't think, I personally don't think so. Indiana, I'm not sure about this one. Ohio, I could vouch for this one. Right. So these are some of the markets that I'm not going to go through each and every single one of them, but these are some of the markets that Zillow mentioned that, hey, they will see an increase in 2025. But we'll really see where they're at, because not all of this is true. In fact, if you want, you could screenshot this. Oh, no, I shouldn't do that. You can screenshot this and then compare and contrast, right? To see where are things now in comparison to where people thought they were going to be. But let's go ahead and move on to the top areas that home values are expected to decline, all right, or grow at the slowest. So New Orleans, San Fran, Austin, Texas, Sacramento, Minnesota, Denver. Oh, wow. Denver is definitely not growing right now. And that's just off from memory that I remember seeing previously. We have Sacramento, I said Sacramento, San Antonio, Portland, and okay, Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh is a big one. I know a lot of people now who've been eyeing Pittsburgh. If you want to screenshot this, go ahead, take it away. I know a lot of people have been eyeing Pittsburgh intentionally because it's one of those areas that didn't really get that COVID boom. And if it did get it, it didn't get it as bad as a lot of other places in the country. So that's an area that you can definitely put on your radar if you really, really, really want to relocate somewhere, just don't know where, and you're kind of stuck because of price. If we move on to mortgage rates, and this is again another prediction, right? Mortgage rates expected to ease but remain volatile, which is true. I think to this day, I think beginning of this month, let's say, I don't remember the exact date, whenever tariffs were announced, right? That's when we saw mortgage rates be volatile for the very first time, where they came down aggressively and then they shot right back up. So I think this is going to be a for everything. I think just everything that we experience this year is going to be extremely volatile, and no one's going to ever have a hold on it up until the point where everything kind of take a chill and everything is what it is. And here's kind of an idea. This is only going to share with you what happened up to 2024, but if you guys were here in the previous streams, then you know what they did up to date. All right, maybe not up to today's date, but I think last week's stream we discussed mortgage rates, if I'm not mistaken. But I would definitely tap into that one just to get a better idea of what's really going on with mortgage rates, because mortgage rates is really going to affect everybody's affordability at the end of the day. Like, that's just what it is. Then Southwest joins the list of regions tipping into buyers' favor, right? That's true today. That's like your Texas, really. Whenever they mention Southwest, it's truly indeed just talking about Texas, because I don't know what other major areas is there. I thought the Midwest was doing pretty well. All right, so I know Midwest. Is it Midwest? I don't remember what region it is where like the Montana is that. I'm just thinking of, I don't remember exactly what do they call that. I really don't know. I'm blanking right now. But that is okay. But not every Southwest region, I will say, is in the buyer's favor. And then deals for renters will be less common, which I don't know about this one. All right, because I was just driving not too long ago through Raleigh, and based off of how much like new construction and apartment complexes they put together, I think one offer that I saw that I could remember, it was like the first 6 weeks was on them, where you don't have to pay anything for the first 6 weeks. It's either 6 weeks or 6 months. I don't remember where, but this was, if you're in that area or you're curious to know what deal this was it was not too far from Glenwood. When I say Glenwood, I'm talking about, of course, where all the activity is, not just the general Glenwood. Man, what was it? It's the newly developed place. Oh, I can't believe I don't remember right now. If it really matters to you, I could definitely figure it out. Just let me know in the comments, and I can definitely get that back to you, just so you could take advantage of that deal in itself. But I was like, wow, I really wish this was when I was looking to rent, right? This would have been a nice offer, a nice deal to take advantage of, not paying rent for, I think it was like 6 weeks or 6 months, whatever the case was. But that's actually pretty scary at the same time, given that those are the kind of deals that they're offering. Somebody can literally go in there, turn the place upside down. Yeah, that sounds bad. This one's I'm not gonna really talk too much about because it's in regards to the renters, but I guess more landlords are gonna be more pet friendly. I don't know. Are you guys seeing that? I don't work too closely in the renter space, so I don't know too much about this. Right, property managers will definitely have more to speak and say on this in itself. And then Americans will take it down a notch with smaller spaces, of course. I mean, I don't know if we really have a choice, I would say, simply because if you really think about it, look at the landscape. If the bigger the house is, the more expensive it is. So everybody has no choice but to really go smaller to make up for the cost that it comes with it. But those were the predictions that were in 2024. If you just now tuning in and trying to catch up with what's going on, I would highly recommend go back and just really get a feel of what were the predictions of 2024 and see where it is in retrospect to your market. Because now we're going to talk about January's prediction. So we're going to move through each and every month: January, February, March. Obviously, we can't go do April because April's not done yet. And we're going to see each one of those projections simply because I want you to see how these projections change every single month. And so don't ever think whatever you see today is true tomorrow, because real estate truly indeed moves at its own speed and pace, and it's typically 30 days behind, right? Because all by the time you get all the information and the data, everything already happened. If you guys do have any questions or anything of that nature, please drop it in the comments. Let me know what questions that you do have, whether it's about your market or not, or if you need help just navigating what's going on a regular basis. But let's go ahead and do this. That's why. Let's go through this article here because this is talking about January data, right? And whenever we see, you know, just for instance, just like you see here, right? Let's do that. Whenever you see Zillow projects right here, Zillow projects that U.S. home prices will rise 1.1% between January 2025 and January 26. Right, that's generally the numbers that we're going to be talking about is more in the annual, right? We're not talking monthly, we're talking year over year. So keep that in mind as we go through this, because it's important to know that, because now you're going to really see how things change. In fact, I didn't see what they said the projections of for, oh well, doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. I was just saying, like, I didn't see what they made the projections for, or at least I don't remember what they said the projection was for 2025 going into the year, because this is essentially after January's data that they said, all right, well, 1.1. Oh, here it is. How beautiful is that? So they made that pretty much an update stating 1.1, and that's already a drop from which had projected a 2.9 increase, right? So they already took it from 2.9 2.9% of an increase to 1.1. We're already dropping, right? So these are the things that a lot of you guys are stating. Hey, you guys want to buy a home, but everything is kind of too costly. I get it. I understand. And to see it go below 2020 levels, I mean, it's gonna be a bad show. Let's just put it like that for that to occur. So when everybody, and maybe it is your family, friends, or whoever it is, maybe it's yourself. It's like, I need prices to come down. Well, they're doing that right now, and I guess it really all depends on your area too. But for the most part, they are doing it throughout the entire country. Some areas are getting hit harder than others, and that's essentially what you're gonna kind of see based off of today. So we can see there that they already made a revision, right? And this is, yeah, election happened already, but nothing really took place. So that's that. And we can actually see, and this is actually be a pretty cool thing. You can take a screenshot of too if you really, really like. I didn't want to do that. So this is based off of the forecasts from Zillow for January 25 to 26, and how each and every single area, how they're performing, right? So like I said all the time, every area in real estate is going to be a little different. You must understand that just because we see 1.1 increase in home prices does not mean that's exactly what's going on in your market, as you guys can see right here in Louisiana. Louisiana. Yeah, New Orleans specifically. they're experiencing a 5% decrease, right, over a 12-year period. Right. So if you're looking in that market, well, there could be an opportunity for you to strike away. Right. Texas got some too. They're pretty flat. Right. And this is in January that they're pretty flat. San Antonio got a decrease. Well, other places. And this is, of course, I'm going to keep reiterating January just because I don't want you guys to think that this is a different time frame where this is even right now. Because we'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry. And so here are some of the areas that Zillow expects strong home price appreciation, right? So again, this is all he say, she say. You can use it verbatim. You could believe it. You could take it with a grain of salt, which is what I would recommend. But do as you please. All right. So Knoxville, Tennessee. Actually, let's go see. Tennessee. Where are you at? Here we go. Where's Knoxville? That's Clarksville. Nashville. I don't know where Knoxville is. There we go. That was luck. They had a 5.2 over a year. 5.2 growth over a year, which obviously states it right there. So I could have just saved myself a lot of time if I just looked at that. Atlantic City, which is a very, very interesting one. But I guess it's in the Northeast area, so it makes a little bit more sense. Torrington, Connecticut. Bangor, is that Maine? I'm assuming. Kingston, New York. Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Okay. Great. So again, Northeast, right? If you didn't know, like all this year, I think even not all of last year, I want to say a good part of last year, the Northeast was going on fire. And I think personally that had to do a lot with everyone being forced to go back home. I mean, go back into office. So it's like everybody's like, all right, fun is over. We can't live and work wherever we want anymore. We got to go back to what we know. And so I think that is kind of what expedited the Northeast appreciating the way that it did, because there's no new construction really going on there. I mean, what space do they really have, honestly? This is me hating at this point, but here are some of the markets where Zillow is expecting the weakest price appreciation. And it looks like all California, Texas, and that's about it. Oh, no, LA, that's Louisiana. Sorry. Okay, yeah, no, that was Louisiana. My bad. So Louisiana and Texas. Midland. If you guys ever saw the show, it was like a oil show. It was how the people in Texas, specifically Midland, how they acquire their wealth through drilling oil. It's actually a pretty interesting show that I watch. I don't remember the name, so my bad. But you can find it on, what was it, on Prime, I think? I don't remember where it was. Hey, I'm not doing y'all justice at all right now. I want to say it was on Prime. Hold on. Just because I'm Midland, Texas oil show. It's exactly how I'm going to find it. Let's see. Landman. There it goes. And it's on Amazon Prime. I would definitely say check that out if you got some extra time, especially if you're into business. Not so much of the oil business, because I mean, it's going to give you a lot of information about the oil business, but I would say business in general, life and business. In fact, that's what that show really vouched for and what I took away, at least from it. But let's go ahead and move over to what projections were made for February. And of course, as you guys can see, another downgrade from Zillow. So we went from 2.9 to 1.1 to 0.8%. Yippee yippity doo, right? It doesn't look good for those that are homeowners, but if you're a buyer, woo, you're raving. You're having a ball. You're having fun because this is exactly what you've been waiting for. Or is it? Or are you waiting for something else? If you're waiting for something else, please let me know what you're waiting for, especially if you're on the replay. Please, I'm curious to know. What is it that a lot of you are on the sidelines waiting for? If it's not price, of course, it could be interest rates, which, as you guys may know, you can do a lot with interest rates now. You can buy it down. yourself, or you can get the seller to buy it down, depending how desperate they are to sell. There's a lot you can do. But anyways, yes, so they've revised it, as I mentioned, by point 0.8. So again, another revision, and it states here kind of what I already talked about. So I'm not going to really discuss that. And a lot of these revisions is because of home prices. I mean, home prices, of course. It's because of active listings, right? So if a lot of homes are coming onto the market, that does suppress the prices a bit more, especially if they're not moving, which is a big piece why prices have to come down, because the price comes down, and that's essentially this is economics at this point, right? When price comes down, you're trying to put yourself in an equilibrium place so that the buyers then come back into the market, or as they call it, demand comes back into the market, so that those buyers can then move the inventory, right? So with active listings growing, right, that's definitely going to hurt the price growth. But I think what's really, really hurting price growth is the fact that there are no buyers that necessarily want to purchase whatever's already on the market for various amounts of reasons. I think the big one is, of course, affordability. And so here's the map again, right? But this is again talking about February. So you can take a screenshot if you're really into this stuff to really see what's been going on. I think New Orleans before it was 5.1, right? Last month or in January. Now it's 5.5. But let's go see where are the places that are appreciating the most. Again, oh, Knoxville hit this list. It was all Northeast before. Oh, we got Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's two new ones. What's going on in those two places? Let's see if they end up on the March one too. Let's see what markets that are not appreciating, and of course, very similar, right? Louisiana and Texas, all across the board. Oh no, we got a Cali. I wonder if this is due to the fires. Chino, I don't know where Chino is. So for all you watching that are living in California, let me know. Help me out here. Where exactly is Chino? We have a comment that came in from Sincere Supreme. Share some prices. Share some prices about what? Like, elaborate on your question. I'm not sure I'm following. I can share you with prices about a lot of things. Prices, what price is today could be a whole different price tomorrow. But if you're saying you want prices of what? Obviously home prices, but what market, right? That's another question, all right? I could do these things, but you gotta be more. You gotta tell me what you need first before you go ahead and just make that request or demand. Would you guys say that as a request or more of a demand? But let's go ahead and move over to March. So now this is this is what everyone was raving about. And I say everyone raving about because this is most up to date and most recent information as far as where Zillow made their updates now. So Zillow, I'll just read this verbatim, honestly, because this when I saw this, I said everybody should love this, especially if you're a buyer, because this is what you've been waiting for. But Zillow projects that U.S. home prices will fall 1.7% between March of 2025 and 2026. Right, last month so let's go start all the way in the beginning. 2024, they said it will rise 2.9. Then they cut it down to it will rise 1.1. Then they cut it and said it will rise 0.8. Now they're officially saying, as you can see, I know this is as of February. I mean, not February, April. They said that it will fall 1.7%. So keep your eyes on the market, and in regards to where you're at, and if those are really what you're experiencing. Again, like I said, some areas you're going to experience it more than others. But okay, so we have a comment that came in from Sincere Supreme. Okay, so he heard what I said, or she came and heard what I said. Sitting on 150, would like to invest, but on the fence between Dallas, Texas, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Two completely different markets. for one. So if you're on the fence on it, what are you on the fence on? Are you on the fence because of lifestyle, or are you on the fence of prices? Because those are two, in my opinion, those are two different areas and they offer two different things. So, well, you came back with another one. Which area would I recommend? You're gonna wait for my oh, how nice is that? You're actually gonna take my recommendation, which is actually insane. Given that I don't know what your lifestyle is, what you're looking to do, it's kind of a difficult question to ask me without knowing what, again, what even you can afford in terms of home prices, right? So I would this is what I would do if I were you. If I'm in your position, I'm going to base my decision on, okay, what's the lifestyle like in those two areas? Not only that, how much are those homes in those areas? Can you even get the home that you want within the price point that you're looking in, and still be and still be in a position where you're comfortable, right? Because again, you don't want to put yourself in a sense where, and this I have these conversations all the time when people are like, I'm trying to decide between here and here. And it's like, well, visit the area. I mean, if you didn't do that, I mean, that's where you really start. Senior Supreme came back with lifestyle and not too sure. Soon to retire in 4 years. Okay, so where do you want to retire? That's if you know you're gonna retire, it's maybe sound like you're trying to downsize. All right. If you're not sure about the lifestyle or lifestyle, not too sure, then you really gotta visit the area for one. But also when you're going to be visiting those areas, you should also be looking to see, is this are any of these homes anything of what you're looking for? Because if you don't do that, then you won't really get the feel of it. I consistently have people who travel into North Carolina and they spend a week here. You're never going to get an entire feel of a place in a week. So you got to take multiple trips, which sucks, I think personally. But this is, again, if you're talking about you're trying to retire, then I would definitely say, just over the course of, the next 4 years that you have that time to, visit those areas. You're in New York City, living in Long Island, and you're a homeowner. Well, why are you leaving? That's the better question. Yeah, literally, why are you leaving? Sounds like you're good already. You live in one of the most expensive places. You have a home already there, so which means you have a ton of equity, or your home value. Hopefully, you have a ton of equity in your home. So why are you leaving? That's the better question. Before I go dive deep into, what's the real reason to leave? Because I'm not getting an answer. You want to retire there, but why? Why do you want to retire in Dallas, or why do you even want to retire in Charlotte? What is it that those two places offer that New York City doesn't already offer to you? Let's hear it. But while we wait for that to come in, let's go ahead and tap back into this, because again, we're talking about this most up to date recent downgrade in which it will impact a lot of individuals. So I like this question here. Why does Zillow keep downgrading its national home price outlook? Well, for first and foremost, they have the information, they have the data that all of us, and I kind of already talked about this, which I think is only going to fuel this more and more. As more homes come onto the market, you're going to see these revisions, or you're going to see home prices do make a change, right? Make a change worse for the buyers. Well, no, not worse for buyers, worse for sellers, better for the buyers. So everybody here, this is your time to get ready, and we're going to talk about what you got to do to get ready, because this is your opportunity. It's about to, your opportunity to shine is approaching. It's approaching. You just take what I said however you like, but your opportunity to shine is here, especially if this continues. Like, what goes up must come down, essentially. And I think we're seeing the start of it. But you really can only take advantage of this when you're preparing yourself. All right, Sincere Supreme, man, you're really determined to get my my recommendation. So I'm tired of New York City. New York City is too expensive. Plus, I hate the cold. Been traveling to Africa the last 3 years, looking to possibly retire overseas. I'm confused now. How did Africa get into this equation at all? Are you trolling? Honestly. It seems like you're trolling. And if you are trolling, then I don't know if I can give your comments more highlight, because how we go from Dallas, Texas to Charlotte to you're trying to retire overseas. And hey, maybe retiring back home. It sounds like Africa's home for you. Maybe retiring back home is makes the most sense for you, personally speaking. Oh, brother, as a black man, I need a place to suit my personality. I agree, which is why you go and travel to these places. For me to tell you exactly where to move to, I'll be a fool to do that. I don't even know what type of home you're looking for. I don't know what lifestyle you're into. Maybe maybe you could pop up on screen. You could tell everybody. We can all help you make this decision. But I'm not gonna do that right now. I really think this is somebody trolling with me right now, and I feel like I know exactly who it is, but I don't know. But no, seriously, I really don't have the answer. I would definitely say base it off of what your lifestyle is going to be like. Visit the area to see if you can even deal with the weather climate. See if the prices of that you're looking to spend. Go to those areas and check out those homes. Literally, go look at them. Don't just look at them online, right? What you see online is completely different, and what you see in person. Visit those neighborhoods, right? See, you have to put your foot on the ground. And so, if you really want to pick and choose, Sincere kind of came back with no. Sincere Supreme says not trolling. Serious inquire. I mean, hey man, it sounds like you have to travel to these places, or maybe you can actually just reach out to me. Hey, while we're at it, you can do exactly this, and maybe you and I can have another conversation where we talk about this a little bit more in detail, where I can get a better sense myself, because you're trying to tell me to do something that I don't even know how to really guide you, because I don't really know yet. I don't really know what you're looking for. It's a tough one. So I would recommend it if you really want to chat with me and take it to the next level where you could really understand, because again, Charlotte is completely different than Dallas, and in my personal opinion, and those two things are completely two areas are different than what we're talking about overseas. But you come here, go to my website, you can find the description below, and truly indeed just click let's chat, fill out this information, and I'll reach out to you, and we can literally spend some time to talk about it and help you navigate how you can decide or even find the place that's best for you, because I don't know how much help I'm gonna be just literally trying to guide you. Um, you already own a home, so that means you're fine, right? Thanks, we'll do. Of course, man. I'm here to help. And if you know if anybody else that needs this sort of guidance, then you can go ahead and do that. But like I said, I'll repeat it once more to you. No, look at the real estate in that area. See if the homes are even what you're looking for, right? Because let's just say if you're in New York and you have a home, maybe you're looking for something. It sounds like you're trying to retire, so I'm going to assume that you're trying to downsize at this point in time. And if that is the case, then all right, well, does Dallas or does Charlotte, North Carolina have, one story or one and a half home, one and a half story home that you could utilize to your advantage? In your price point, does it have, the land? Does it have the layout? Does it have the acreage that you're looking for? Right, all these questions I could go ahead and talk to you about this, and I'll be doing circles right before trying to actually give you an answer. So if something else does come top of mind, just let me know. But let's get back to what Zillow is doing with these declines, well, at least these predictions, and making all these predictions and declines in terms of what they said. So right now we're at, this is what was given most, I think a couple of days ago they actually gave this one out. And we're talking about decreasing price. Home prices decreasing 1.7% between now, March of 25 and March of 26. So let's take a look at this, and you can take a nice, pretty picture. Sincere Supreme, might want to take a picture of this, because this is the most up to date information that you would get in terms of prices in itself. So you said Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's go ahead and go find Charlotte. All right, so they're experiencing a negative 0.3%. And then the other area was Dallas, Texas. Let's see if I know my math. Let's go. So Dallas is negative 2.9. So Dallas could be more of a bargain, depending on what exactly occurred in, from 2020 to now. But Dallas could be more of a bargain if that's what you're looking for, right? So that's a whole nother equation that we can talk about. In fact, maybe we can actually take a look to see Dallas's market. Yeah, I'll do that real quick for you. While I pull that up, let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm just going to go to Zillow real quick, and we're going to check out Dallas's market. Maybe this is what he wanted me to do. And I just didn't think to actually do it. So if I go ahead and share my screen, and we can go ahead and check out to see what's been going on in Dallas, Texas. Let's see if these are the type of homes that you want, because this is actually what I would say to do. Four. There we go. My bad, man. I got the memo now. I got the memo. But this is stuff that, I could do it for you, but again, this is not my market, so I don't know how much value I can really give towards you, but I know someone who works this market, so maybe we can have an extensive conversation with him. So wow, a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,300 square feet for 360. To me, that's insane. Here in North Carolina, there is no 3 beds, 1 bath. It's 9 times out of 10 is 3 beds, 2 baths. In fact, I see a lot of even 2 beds, 2 baths. So do you want to spend 360 on a 3-bed, 1 bath? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. All right, but that's what pops out. We'll check out Charlotte next. We'll see. But then you got this one here. For 300,000. Oh, we're gonna lose it. For 300,000, it's a 5-bed, 3-bath. Woof. Almost 3,000 square feet. Now that's a pretty large home. I don't know if you're gonna want to downsize into that. Right, but understanding where. So if you do want to be in Dallas, I would definitely say, just understand if you want to, because again, we see this here. I wish it would pop up on this map and show us exactly where it is, but it's not going to do that. Right? Do you need to be close to the activity? Do you need to be close to the football stadium? Do you need to be close to the basketball arena? Right? Or are you okay with driving 30 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes to some of these things? Because that's always going to play a factor in these prices in itself. But this is a nice little home. 4 beds, 2 baths, 375, 2,000 square feet. Woof, 64 million. You want that one? How about that? Look at this. Yeah. How about you buy that for everybody? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we was all looking for. Oh, come on. What did I just do? Oh, don't worry. We'll find it again. There you go. 64 million. 10 baths. 17 baths. What the heck are you going to do with that many bathrooms? 27,000 square feet. That's a big home. Jeez. But okay, that's Dallas for you. I hope you got a feel of what's going on there, because now we're going to go ahead and check out Charlotte to see what's going on there. And the same applies here, right? If you need to be close to the football stadium, if you need to be close to the basketball stadium or a basketball arena, right? Then obviously you position yourself to take advantage of that. And so here we go. First thing that popped up was 4-bed, 3 baths, about 2,000 square feet for 650. Not too shabby. What else we got? I hope we find another multi-million-dollar home. We have a nice subtle 4-bed, 2 baths, to about 2,000 square feet for 323. Right, her. All right, so now everything's going to be based on what you're looking for at the same token. Let's see, we got 1.1s. I don't think North Carolina has like 6 multi-million-dollar homes like that. And if they do exist, they're not. I would be very surprised if it's. No, I guess we're not going to see any. Here's a $300,000 home, right? 3 beds, 2 bath, about 1,200 square feet. So not too bad, right? I hope this is giving you an idea of what you could be really looking at. Okay. So let's look at what areas are appreciating. Right. So we have Jersey, right? New York. Okay. So Knoxville is on that. Knoxville was on that list before. Yeah. Knoxville. I think, yeah, it's still Northeast. I think this is the favorite Arkansas one left. I wonder where that's at now. And so here we have the weakest areas, right? So Louisiana and Texas are still, wow. Man, if you are looking to move to either one of those, Louisiana or Texas, I will say you really have to look at it because I've literally saw Louisiana and Texas on every single price prediction that this list here is showing. So keep that in the back of your mind. And so if we go over to here, we'll see here what exactly, as I was mentioning, right? So what happened in January, how they were making changes, right? So like I said, it started from, let me move that up so you can see it. Started from 2.9, went to 1.1 to 0.8 to finally it went to negative zero point 0.1, negative 1.7. And that's what we're experiencing right now. So I don't really think I'm gonna go over this entirely. I just really wanted you to see that because we touched upon this in every single one. We actually did a thorough analysis and looking at every single market. We didn't really talk about prices, but we at least looked to see what areas were on a month-to-month basis going through declines. And so this is all good information. This is all good, helpful stuff for you as a buyer, not so much of a seller. So if you're a homeowner, I don't know if you're too happy to hear about any of this right now. And so this is also just sharing, kind of what their prediction was. This is okay, yeah. So this is what their prediction was based off of the area. Of course, I could make this bigger so you guys all could see it. And it doesn't really do anything. So your New York, at least Zillow's prediction is negative 2.7. But so this guy here, Nick Jurley, he owns, or at least he's affiliated with this company, Reventure, and his prediction is actually that New York is going to get an increase of 4.8%. So if you're looking in New York, I'll just name off the areas that are anticipated on getting an increase. So Chicago 5.7. We have Washington D.C. 1.5. Philadelphia 4.8. We have Boston 3.8, Detroit, Michigan 2.9, Minneapolis 1.1, Baltimore 3.8, St. Louis 3.4, Pittsburgh 2.9. Look at that. Pittsburgh's back on the list. And then we have Cincinnati at 2.9, right? So every other market for the most part is decreasing. So where are the biggest decreases? Ooh, look at this. Sincere Supreme, you would love to hear this. At least this is what his predictions are, right? Everything can change, as you guys all may know, but Dallas, Texas, he's predicting a negative 5.8. Well, what's Zillow predicting? A negative 2.9% for prices to decrease. Where's Charlotte on this list? Oh, they did Charlotte dirty. Oh, here it is. Look at that. So Venture is predicting 2.9, 2.1, whereas Zillow is doing a negative 2.3. Oh, I keep butchering my numbers today, man. Negative 0.3. So, when I see wide gaps like that, it kind of concerns me, right? Because it's like you have someone predicted something over here and then somebody all the way over here. So, which means there's a lot of room for error in between. So, the general learner, what's going on, my man? How you doing? How you living? I actually don't know if you're a man or a woman, so sorry if I offended you in any sort of way. It's my bad. But how you doing? How you doing? Hope good. Hope you living good. Hope life's good. Hope you had a good weekend. It's good to see you back, man. What's another big market that may experience some declines? We have Tampa, Florida. We have Denver, Colorado. I know that's a big one because they're getting a lot of inventory. All right, Orlando, Florida, as I spoken, 6.3, negative 6.3, but Zillow's predicting. So, yeah, take a screenshot of this if you really want to take a look at this and kind of base your decisions on that because I ain't gonna spend too much time here. Oh, Brian, what's going on, Brian? I don't know, Bryce. We got a new man in the chat, Brian Olsen. We haven't came across you before. I hope you're doing good, man. Brian mentioned I feel really bad for people that rushed into the market in 2020 and 2021 during a pandemic, not seen in 100 years. I can't recall any historic play that turned out okay. Whew. A lot of fear you got going on there, huh? Oh, I'm curious. So why do you feel bad? Because those individuals that rushed into the market in 2020 and 2021, if they sold already, they actually probably made 100K within a year or two and probably gave somebody else their problems. So I think it's all this could be really situational, right? I think that's everything in life in itself. But at least if those individuals who rushed into it, if they rushed into it with no plan and didn't really kind of prepare themselves, then I entirely agree with you. What goes up must come down, kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, thanks for that. I mean, I'm curious to hear your insight of where you think things are gonna go. Seems like you know a little bit more than what I know. My man said, "I've been great. I've been great." Speaking of prices, what are you seeing in the market right now in your area? Are sellers getting at it over there asking? Are sellers getting at it over there asking price? And how competitive is it as far as multiple offers, etc.? This is multiple offers aren't. In fact, I actually have a story that I'll share with you now that the general learner brought this up to the equation. Sellers are Some sellers are getting what they want, right? And this is based off of if the home is priced really, really well. If if the home is not priced well, some sellers are literally getting stuck with holding the bag. And when I say holding the bag, I mean just getting stuck with not being able to sell their home. In fact, I walked into a home not too long ago and I spoke to the agent. Sounds like this house they overpriced it to begin with, and now they're having issues getting off their hands. And they were hoping that we were going to be the one to take bait. But unfortunately, no, we didn't take bait on that one for several different reasons. But when I went to go look, I was disgusted. When I went to go look at this home, in terms of looking at the comps to see how much is this home in comparison to what's going on in that specific neighborhood, not even the entire area. I didn't even have to go a half a mile out of that area to understand what's really going on there. And I was like, yo, you guys are probably over 100,000 in terms of where you should really be. And I was disgusted. So are sellers getting what they want? No, because there's more inventory, right? But if it's a really good home at a really good price, best believe the demand is there, right? And I've even when I previously was looking at, I've seen homes go on a contract in less than 7 days. That's still happening. But again, it's based off of what really pops up in that market in itself. So sellers, I think, are going to kind of be stuck in that cycle of believing that they can still get whatever they want until they realize, okay, we can't get whatever we want and we actually have to sell and we have to move on with our lives. And then they start to reduce their price. So, that's just kind of the thing I will say right now. You please make sure if you are working with a real estate agent that you do your comparables before you write your offer and submit it, because this is the time where a lot of people can get caught in appraisal issues, right? Where they get caught where the seller is like, hey, I mean, the seller could either be a complete douchebag and not help you at all and not reduce it, or it's just look at you and say, nope, you're responsible to cover the difference, or you can walk away. And in North Carolina, man, that's going to hurt a lot of people if, individuals are not doing their comparables before writing any sort of offer. So before you write an offer, let your agent know. Did you run the comps? Let me know what homes are selling for in that area specifically, so you can have a better idea, and make sure you don't overpay and get an appraisal that comes in and is extremely low. And now you're stuck with a massive gap that you now have to make up somehow, some way. So I hope that was some valuable information there. Multiple offers, again, it's gonna be based off of the home in itself. We're not seeing it as much, so I wouldn't be too worried about that one. In fact, I can go ahead and share my screen and show you this. Oh my goodness, because this is hilarious right here, right? There's a survey that was taking place. Man, I wish I had the date on this. Okay, there it is. April 14th, so very recent, right? 81% of potential sellers think they will get their asking price or more this year. Right? So I just showed you a ton of data where the beginning of the year, it was literally decrease, price reductions, you can whatever you want to call it. It started at 2.9 of increases of what they anticipated home prices will go. Then it ended up at 1.1, then 0.8, and then now we're at negative 1.7. And you have sellers that's stating here that 81% still think they can get asking price. Price it right, maybe you can, but if you price it where you're, not really being considering what's actually going on in the world, then not sure if you're gonna. I'm not sure those 81% is gonna be extremely happy. I saw that and I just chuckled. But many potential sellers think it's a good time to sell. All right, and I think the springtime is typically a great time to sell. To be honest with you, if you're looking for a home, this is a great time to be looking as well, because this is now your time to really have options and be able to maybe take your time, maybe. But they think it's a good time to sell because of the increased value of their homes and the limited inventory available. That's correct, and It's still limited inventory, honestly. A lot of places. Maybe I can find it, but I don't know if I really want to find it. Brian mentioned, well, the parallels of 1918 and 1930s is very similar to 2020 and 2025. Three major things. Both periods had three major things. Both periods had that no decade from 1940 to 2020 had. It's crazy to think you know the future, but it's played out. Mm. Maybe I need to look into what occurred during the 1918s and the 1930s. Um, I'll look into that myself because I'm curious to see what exactly occurred during that time. To see how many parallels, because based off of what I'm hearing or what I know, and just based off of what I read and what I looked into, the times that we're in now is a little different than whatever what we've as in the United States experienced in the past. I don't think it's ever been like this before. And when I say this, I'm talking about inflation, right? Talking about the inventory, talking about skyrocketing prices, right? So when we factor in those three things, right, when we think about the 70s, we cancel that out immediately because they experienced high inflation, and that's where mortgage rates just went through the roof. And that's why a lot of people nowadays say, yeah, back in the 70s I had a 12%. You hear those stories all the time. But so it's not like that. I'm curious to I have to look into it, Brian. So I'll look into it, and maybe next week we can have more of a dialogue on it based off of what I tapped into. But I personally, I haven't heard anybody say this is a lot of parallels of the 1918s to the 1930s. I did hear a lot about the Roaring 20s, right? But I think the Roaring 20s were a little different than what we're experiencing now. But degenerate learner, I read it's typical to start and offer 2 to 3% below asking. Is that normal? I think some agents I think some agents let the seller list without trying to show them what real what the real price should be versus what they want to get. And no, that's absolutely like that's okay. So I'll touch bases on the first one first, right? So you read that it's typical to start an offer 2 to 3% below asking. Is that normal? Mm, no. If you have a set price, put your price out there. Just because whatever, there's no such thing as normal in real estate. Everything is negotiable, right? So if there is a price out there, if you see a home and you actually want to offer maybe something, you leave it up to your agent to make that offer, and hopefully it doesn't offend anybody. Because if it offends somebody and you actually want that home, then you may actually hurt yourself in the long run. Because you can and I this is the part with negotiating you really got to keep in mind. You can offer a price and you could literally offend the seller to the point where they won't even look at your offer anymore, despite if you come up to asking price. They can just say, I don't want to sell you, specifically you, that home. And they have that right to make that decision. And that's just based off of the actions of. So I would just say be cognizant of, if you're going to go below, right, make sure you do look at your comps, make sure you do make your comparables, but have your number first in mind. Who cares what's normal? If 2 to 3% below asking is what's normal in certain markets, I don't do that at all. I'm doing it based off of what my clients is looking to purchase a home for, right? So if a home is 300,000 and they're like, hey, Ron, I only have 250, well, do you really love this home? If they say yes, I'm like, all right, well, I can kind of I could kind of like tap my toes into there to see if a 250 offer will offend them, because otherwise we may have to look elsewhere. But if it's not going to, then hey, we'll make the offer and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we get no or a counter. And now the ball's in our court. We make a decision. I love negotiating, if you can't tell. Oh man. To your second point though, sorry. I think some agents let the seller list without, absolutely, and that's a real thing, and it's unfortunate that it gets to that point where, so us as real estate agents, we have the information, we have the data, and we're supposed to be advising individuals on what exactly they can do to accomplish their real estate goals. Some people do it for different reasons. It is what it is. You got to be able to sniff through the bluff, and hopefully, I don't have too much to say on that, but it is truly indeed unfortunate. Like the conversation I had with the agent literally was like, I told them not to list this high, and I was just like, I just looked. I didn't even. This was over the phone, so I just kind of side eyed and was like, "Did you really? Did you really?" Oh man, but I won't. We won't get into that one. But whatever. Brian came back with, unlike the 1970s, we didn't have the Federal Reserve blowing up on. Yeah, that is fair. Blowing up an artificial bubble in stocks, bonds, and real estate from the 2010s into the 2010s into the 20. I want to say 2020. That's what he meant. That's why the median income can't support 7% mortgages. Yes and no. So the there's this two pieces here that I agree with, the artificially propping everything up. But if you actually look, I think it started in 2010. Real estate was lagging for a very, very, very long time before it actually picked up pace. And 2020, I think, was literally, I don't want to say that's what was supposed to happen, but it's almost like I look at 2020 as like it was catch up, right? And it's unfortunate, right? Because it happened so quickly and no one could really prepare themselves. As far as, you know, that's why the median income can't support the seven. Totally agree. I mean, that's a bigger problem that the United States has. We really got to figure out the job market in itself, because, I mean, now we're talking about AI being into the mix. And I don't know if hopefully that does really help with productivity, and that does allow for companies and corporations to really pour into the person that is pouring into them, essentially, and helping their bottom line. But we've had, I think, since 2008, we've had issues with the job market, and I don't think it's ever recovered ever since. And no one's talking about that. I'll tell you that for sure. No one talks about the job market back in 2008 and how things have been tremendously different, and companies don't want to pay the top dollar for it. Alrighty, so you guys saw what I said about the article in regards to what sellers want. So if you are out there in the wild trying to get a home, just know that this is still an expectation that sellers do have. You personally don't have to live with that expectation, of course, right? You have your own. As again, know your price before somebody tells you what your price is, and then you'll be fine. You'll be all right. I don't really care for this portion of it because I really want to show you guys this. And if at this point in time, right, I showed it a little bit earlier, but I'll show it once more. If you guys want somebody that's going to literally look out for your behalf, click the link in the description, fill out and go to this website. It's literally my name. And just press let's chat or the contact and fill out this form. Because if you do this, this is going to give me a good idea of what you need help with, what you're looking for, what market you're even looking to be in. And that way I can connect you to a real estate agent that's going to look out for you. And I can ensure that. And if that person doesn't look out for you, you can literally report back to me, and that person essentially doesn't reap the benefits of me anymore. Essentially, let's just put it like that. But I want to be able to show you guys because I know a lot of individuals may not know about this. So I want to share with you what I came across, and I'm going to do this more and more and more. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for this part as I do this. And as I come across more, down payment assistance programs, grants, right? I'm going to provide you all with this information so you guys know where to go, what to take advantage of, and not waste your time just looking at nonsense. So Chase right now has this where they're putting home ownership within reach. Is it really reach if they're only giving you 2,500 or 5,000 in some areas, right? It's better than nothing. I'm not the one to just say, I think this is probably one of the larger banks, and I think they could do a little bit better. But anywho, they're giving out money, right? We're gonna see this a little bit more, especially as buyers start to really be on the sideline a bit more, and the bank's incentive is to get people to purchase a home. So see these incentives. Don't just get a mortgage or at least get a pre-approval and not understand what all of your options are, because there are things like this that you can get and keep some of your keep your own money at the end of the day. Again, read the fine print. This is one of those times and moments that you're going to have to do those things. As I can state what you write up here, right? It says or 5,000 and it has a number 1 in select areas. So just because it says that doesn't mean that's what it's going to be verbatim. And so I have another one for you. But before going to the other one, Brian came back with a question, or at least a statement. He said, I respect that you're not saying everything is just fine. It's not to say it won't be, but none of this is traditional. ABC's News Nightly News is talking about the Great Depression this week. Yeah, well, the news is the news. I've never heard good come out of the news, so I'm just here to keep it real with you, man. I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I shoot straight, and I tell you exactly what I hear, what I see, what I think. I definitely think that everybody should be preparing themselves for something, because again, what goes up must come down, and hopefully it's not painful to the point where it impacts a lot of people, because I'm not that type of person. I like to encourage individuals, especially if you're trying to purchase a home, right? This is why we're having this conversation right now. If you're trying to purchase a home, right, this is the time to get ready. This is the time where you take advantage of some of these, or at least maybe you don't need to take advantage of these grants and home down payment assistance right now, but understand that they're out there before you strike and move forward, because these things don't have to exist in all times, in all shapes, lights in the world at all. So understand that these are things that are out there. I'm always going to advocate and always going to help first-time home buyers, because sheesh, this is a rough time for first-time home buyers. Rough. And I acknowledge it, which is why I like doing these things, because it's my way of giving back to help those individuals that may not know. right? Even some real estate agents may not even know about this. And if real estate agents don't know, you don't know, your lender doesn't know, or no one informs you, then you might just lose out on this. So this right here is another program, but it's only for my teachers, firefighters, law enforcement officers, and anyone that's in the EMT looking to purchase a home. So there have programs out there as well for anyone that does specialize in any of those fields that I just mentioned that you can take advantage of. What does it include? So eligible home buyers in these professions can, and sorry if you can't see this, but eligible home buyers in these professions can purchase a qualifying HUD home for 50% off list price. Woo! But it has to be a HUD home, right? You're not just gonna go to any home and be like, "Hey, I got this. Let me buy it." As long as they agree to live in the home for the 3 years and meet other few requirements, right? Other few basic requirements. So who qualifies? As I mentioned, right? You got the teachers, law enforcement, firefighters, EMT, civilian personnel, dispatchers, and volunteers aren't eligible, right? They made that real clear. They didn't even put an asterisk or anything. They just put it right there. All right, so here's the requirements. You can't be a past program participant. So if you use this in the past, you're SOL. You don't need to be a first-time home buyer, which is pretty good. If you don't know, right, this is a fun fact. You're a first-time home buyer every 3 years as long as you didn't transact in real estate. So you don't need to be a first-time home buyer, but you can't have purchased or owned in the past year, which is fair. The home you buy through the program must be your primary residence. You must live in the home for the next 3 years and certify your residence every year during this period. And certifying, I don't know what that's going to mean. So don't try to game the system. Play by the rules, especially when they're helping you get a home, get a home off of 50% off, which is their home, of course. So how is this program going to work? Not going to do that. I just want to bring you the program in itself because I think it's important for you guys all to know about the programs that are out there. So, what is it that you all must do right now? If you're looking to get a mortgage, you got to prepare yourself. So, what can you do? You can get your credit right. You can start to save up some money. You can, and maybe you just start preparing, your family members. Hey, I'm trying to buy a home. I may need a gift. You can even start preparing them, right? Mentally getting them ready to gift you your down payment or your closing costs. Making sure your income is good. And when I say income, I'm saying like you have stability, right? The lenders love stability. And that's why, getting a loan off of a W-2 income is always easier than if you're doing it self-employed or if you're doing it where you have, or as a freelancer in itself. As you say, it says it right there, stable income. They love that. So these are the things that I would definitely say this is what we all should be doing right now, whether you're a first time home buyer or not. Right? If you're looking to buy a home, this is what you should really be doing and take advantage of if prices do really start to come down in the masses. I'm going to throw out a nice little hint, but I think the next 2 to 3 years, I think Brian was onto something. I definitely got to look into the 1980s to see exactly what he was referring to, 1980s to 1930s. But I think the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be, it may not be pretty. So we shall see what really all transpires. Because I could even share, this is exactly what Brian was talking about in terms of why the median income, most people cannot afford it. So this is like the most expensive homes, home price to income ratios, right? So we have Hawaii, California, right? These are the areas that, of course, anything up here is going to really get hurt a lot more, right? Anything in the first half, I would say. So just really cutting this in half. So we have California, Montana, Oregon, Massachusetts, Washington State, not DC, Idaho, Washington, D.C., Colorado, Nevada, Utah, New York, Arizona, Florida, Maine, Rhode Island, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Vermont, New Mexico, Wyoming, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Delaware. All right, I'll just cut it in half. if you didn't hear it, then everything else is kind of working in their favor. And this is as of June of 2024, right? This data and this information. I don't know if Sincere is still here. Sincere Supreme. I don't know if you're still here, but Texas is on the bottom half of this, man. So it looks like the home price to income ratios is pretty favorable for Texas. Connecticut being on that list is crazy because, yeah, I don't know about that one. And this is another one that you guys can screenshot this. I'll leave this up there for you, really, because we kind of just went over that. But if you guys have any questions or anything, please let me know. I will. Brian gave me homework to look into what occurred in the 1918s to 1930s. So I'm going to look at that. Maybe I can report back. Maybe we can have another dialogue conversation on what we see going on there. But I'm curious because if I can prepare all of you to purchase a home and the market is going down and you're ready, you're not only going to get a bargain, but you're going to get it's going to be sweet. It's going to be sweet to be able to purchase a home and have equity into it. That's what you do. That's what we do that's what we buy real estate for. We buy real estate to see the home values go up, and then you can either sell it, right? You can manage the debt, right? Rent it out. You have options, and that's the beautiful thing of real estate. Options. I don't know any other industry that's going to give you as many options as real estate does. So if you guys don't have any last questions, please share these streams with, or at least share the channel with friends, family, or anybody that that's in the market, so that we can bring so this could be a place where we all kind of just pick each other's brains and help each other all navigate through this real estate market to help one another. Because this is why I do all the videos, all these streams is all going to be for my first time home buyers, and ultimately it's going to be for buyers ultimately, so for the general public. So if there aren't any other last questions, then I'll go ahead and departure. Just know I'm here every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can catch me here. Let's have these dialogues. Let's figure out what's going on in real estate. Let's figure out what the hot topic is and talk about it and read through the fluff so we know exactly what's going on. But I encourage you guys, share it with everybody so you know that everybody that you like, trust, is getting the information that they need to really, really truly indeed help them with their journey in real estate. Because you may see it or you may not see it, but there's a lot that goes on, and there's a lot of people that don't know much. I'm not saying I know it all either. All right. This is why we have these conversations, to educate each other and help. Jay, just as I get ready to leave, you want to pose a question, which is all good. You shot the question a little late. Let's see what your question is, though. What's your thoughts on buying land? What's your thoughts on buying land and build some townhome single family in North Carolina as a starter in the construction business? Oof. So I'm not too versed in the construction area in terms of building. So I'm going to tell you based off of what I share with a lot of my clients, right, that want to buy land and build. Now, if you're buying land to build to then sell for a profit, right, you just added another layer to it, right, because you want to make sure that you're buying the land that's suitable for it. You want to also make sure that you're buying that land that you can then build on it, and of course still have profit margins to be able to sell it to somebody else that wants to purchase it. But in North Carolina, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, because we have some of the biggest home builders in North Carolina building and developing the homes. It's all going to be based off of the acquisition, the bottom line, how much the dollar cost, right? That's what it's really going to come down to, and that, I think, is a scary thing, right? And the only reason why I say it's a scary thing is because I don't know if you're going to find land that's going to be favorable, especially how many, what's your plans look like in terms of how many homes you want to bring to the market. Where are you even thinking in North Carolina to bring these homes to the market? Because if you say somewhere like, give me a place, guys. I'm trying to think of a place that they're like not really developing. right? I can't think of a place right now in North Carolina that they're not developing, but if you bring a place in North Carolina that they're not developing, then obviously you might shoot yourself in the foot too early. But that's an opportunity. I'm not well versed, to be honest with you, in terms of the construction business. But I do know. I actually had clients myself who actually wanted to do this, and they backtracked on their entire plan just because they didn't think it was feasible for them to not. I should say they didn't think it was feasible. They just didn't want to go through it. They think they're more aware of what the inventory is in the triangle area. So they're like, I don't even have to build. I can just go buy a home. So they're more than happy to do that rather than build. So if you're thinking around the triangle area, find the land, man. Jay, man, if you're truly indeed trying to build and bring homes to the market, it's very possible. I would just say understand the numbers. No, don't hurt yourself early, because that's where I could see the land costs being. That's what I hear. At least a lot of builders, and I'm talking when I say builders, I'm talking about the big builders. That's what they complain about the most is the land costs, and then not getting the support that they need from our government officials or the municipalities, the counties, and just moving things forward. Right, things taking a really long time to get things done. So it's a lot of research and a lot of due diligence that's taking place before actually moving forward. But if you can find the land, and you're in a good spot, and you're not competing with big. Sorry about that. I'm still here. But yeah, back to Jay. It's something that I would definitely look into it, especially if you're ready for that, because this is a growing area in itself. Any last questions before I departure? Make sure you guys do like this video, do all that good stuff. Not for me, for the people that need to hear this stuff, right? Do that for them. Then let's get the word out that this happens. This sort of stream happens. You're so welcome, Jay. I hope that was valuable information. I'm not sure if it was. I know I'm not, the best person to probably speak about construction wise, the construction business in itself. But if you need a connection, then you can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to connect you to somebody that I know that's in that business that can, maybe be. I'm not going to say a mentor because I don't know if he'll do it. But yeah, as long as it's a growing area, I don't think you'll have any issues with bringing more homes. More inventory is essentially what's needed in the United States anyway. So, but with all that being said, if there's no other questions, y'all all have a blessed night. Y'all have a better week. Next week, I'll see y'all all here. Let's do this. Let's go out there and kill this. Kill the thing. Kill the thing. Beep, 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 beep.